And welcome to the special edition of Hannity. And with the debt limit debate raging on Capitol Hill, Americans are getting more and more frustrated with our elected leaders in Washington. So for the next hour, Frank Luntz, our very own pollster, author of the book Win, will once again be in Washington, D.C., bringing the voters together with America's leaders. Frank.
Over the next hour, you're going to learn more about the deficit, the debt, Medicare, spending, all the issues that are affecting Washington today. And you're going to learn it from the American people. Now, we're going to be using these patented dials. The higher that they react, the more favorable they feel about what they hear. But if they dial it down, you know that they don't agree with their elected official. What's unique about this is not only going to hear from the people making the policy, but you're going to hear from the American people who have to live with that policy. And I'm proud to begin with one of the leaders of the House of Representatives. Kevin McCarthy, you're the whip. You're the one responsible for getting this legislation through. My question to you is, you know how divided we are. You know that there's challenges between the House and the Senate, the White House and Congress, and even between politicians and the American people. How do we get it done? Everybody react, please.
You know the way we get it done? This is an opportunity. It's no more budget tricks, no more accounting gimmicks, no more broken promises. I think the American people deserve the right to know the truth. And I believe when you give them the truth, they'll make the right answer. No more of this negative that you demonize the other person. Let's go for the solution. You know, Winston Churchill, there's a painting of him in the back. He once said that you could always count on Americans to do what's right after they exhausted every other option. This is our opportunity, and we need to rise to the occasion just as we've done every time before. My wife and I, Judy, have 2 kids, Connor, 17, and Megan, who's 14. My wife and I no longer worry about what we become. We're worried about what our children become. And this is the moment that America grows back.
Is that the right approach?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Is that an approach that you can identify with?
As a parent who's concerned about the budget, the future, even college education costs and taxes, I can definitely agree with that.
You're one of the youngest people here. Your reaction?
As a young person, I can see, you know, down the road, Social Security and Medicare and spending is out of control. We have to take control of it now, or there won't be any of that for me.
Your reaction?
My reaction is to ask you is, what are you doing about it? What is your idea of a solution?
Okay, let's do that. Everybody at 50, please. Specific solution.
Specific solution? Take away all the partisanship, sit down and work directly with the numbers. Don't play the games that everything's negative with it. Show what the numbers are. I will tell you, you have a $3.5 trillion budget. 1.5 of it is borrowed. You can't continue to live that way.
You guys agree with that?
Yes.
So this is what you do. If you just thought you could get out of this mess just by cutting, I mean, government's grown too large, 82% in the last 3 years in discretionary spending.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yes.
No household has done that. So let's look at this just like a normal household. First, what we have to do, curve our spending where we can. Do we have some assets we can sell? And let's grow this economy. Let's make this economy with more jobs. What happens, you get more taxpayers.
Specifically, Congressman, what techniques are you using to eliminate the partisanship? Because most people are quite upset with it in America.
Great question.
You know, when I came in 2006,
React, please.
Democrats became the majority. I sat down with this other congressman who came with me, a guy named Ed Perlmutter. He's a Democrat. And we were here for about 7 months. And I said, Ed, why don't we put a dinner together? Let's not have anybody that's not a freshman. And let's do this. So we both paid for it. We go to a restaurant, and I start out and said, nobody can talk politics. I said, why? I said, no one talk politics. We went around the room. You know what we talked about? Our challenges, because we're away from our family, our families. At the end of the night, what we found out, we have a lot in common. A lot of the same challenges as an American. Then our next dinner the next month, then let's talk politics. Because what happens, you start talking solutions. Because you take the demonizing of one another away, and you realize we are in the same country. We're Americans first.
Is this the right approach?
Yes.
You're one of the toughest people on politicians. What's your reaction so far?
Well, my reaction so far is that there's a lot of words that are there, and the action from D.C. doesn't seem to be there.
So what do you want from D.C.?
I want them to stop. I want them to stop abusing us.
Do you guys feel abused?
Yes.
Nothing compared to what I'll do to you. Louise.
Well, I don't necessarily feel abused, but you know, I think there's stuff hidden behind rhetoric that
yes.
You know you're going to cut or sell the assets. What assets are you talking about?
I'm going to have you answer, but first, Patrick, your reaction.
How are you going to really take this seriously and stop playing games. The games are like, okay, what percentage of the time are you working on re-election? What percentage of the time is your staff really working at the solution?
Exactly. Here's a dangerous thing. You've got our attention now, so you're in trouble. I'm talking about D.C. in general. We are awake and we are paying attention. And we want the details.
And you know
Everyone
what?
At 50. Everyone at 50? Go ahead.
That's exactly what has to take place. That you start here and you hold people's feet to the fire. So
Yeah.
here's a window of opportunity. If this country sits back and says, okay, we're at a debt limit. I've only been here, I'm in my 3rd term. I did nothing to create this. I voted against most everything you saw coming through. It's okay, I didn't create it, but I just inherited a company that has been mismanaged, that has to get put onto the right track.
Do you blame both parties?
Oh, I blame both parties, by far. There is
You guys
enough,
agree with this?
Look, there is enough blame to go around for everyone. All right? So let's start with that premise. Second thing is, what are you going to sell? Do you even know what is the audit of how many buildings we own? Do you know how many cell phones we own, or what are they even being used? No business would run this way. Your household would not run this way. You guys agree with that? Yes. I look at my own cable. I look at my own cable bill on what we're spending and if the kids are buying a movie or not. So first thing I would do is itemize what we have, sell what excess we don't have. Then I would look from another perspective.
Dan.
We're in a crisis mode. Why do we always have to wait until 1 minute to midnight to solve our problems?
We don't even know what we're spending on. We have the big stimulus. We don't know where the money went. It went overseas.
Martin.
We're looking for specifics, and you're not giving any that I'm hearing.
One more.
And we definitely don't want to cut anything dealing with our military.
Yeah, why not? That's a good question. Why not?
Fundamental point. Most of America doesn't want to cut anything. We're not going to be able to do that. We're going to have to be honest.
You agree?
And everybody's in the boat together. Look, I'm a very big supporter of the military, but you're going to tell me we spend more than $500 billion, you can't find waste?
I'm sorry, my brother was killed. He was a special forces soldier. You're telling me that we just killed the most evil person in the world, okay? He was sent over there in 2005 in Afghanistan, and I found out later that he's hiding in Pakistan. We need to support our military, our families, and don't forget our Gold Star. Honor and remember us.
Creech, 100%. You'll find each and every way. But you know how we can support them even more? Is there any money wasted? I will tell you, you walk down this building, I believe in education. You know my background of what I come. I don't come from wealth. I came from the small school, put my own way through. I went and started a company, my own job at 19. I took the risk.
You're saying the military's wealthy?
No, listen to my point of what I'm saying.
And then we got to
the way you're going to be able to do it. You go down here to the Department of Education building, the average salary there is over $100,000. What if that money was sent to the classroom instead of down the street?
You agree?
Yes. All right? So how much money is spent in that Pentagon and not on the front line?
Exactly.
That is what I'm talking about. Eliminate that. But more importantly, let's think of this. I live in California, okay? I see companies every day leave my state because of my taxes. There's 37 million people live in my state. That's 12% of the nation. But 32% of the nation's welfare lives in my state. You get 25% of the entire budget from 144,000 people out of 37 million. But we never think as Americans that we compete with other countries. So this is what I say. Let's give ourselves a level playing field, not an advantage. Let's look at the countries that we compete with. If it is only 3 years in Europe to bring a new drug to test, why is it 7 in America? It should be here 3. If it's 3 pieces of paper, if it's 3 pieces of paper to open a business in another country, why is it 10 here?
The big problem over entitlements, 2/3 of the budget. What do we do about that?
You have 10,000 people a day,
and we got to close real
getting
quick.
on entitlements. Yeah. We need to have a direct correlation because this is the broken promises I talk about. Yeah. You're going to hear politicians sit there and say, there's nothing wrong with Social Security, there's nothing wrong with Medicare. It is going broke.
Yes.
I got to cut you off. How many of you say that this is a good leader for Congress? Absolutely. How many of you feel better about this situation because of what you heard from him? Absolutely. I want to thank you very much for participating, Mr. Whip. And I want you to know that there's a whole lot more coming from Democratic senators, Republican senators, a dozen congressional women, all to face the American people, and it's straight ahead.
Thanks, Frank. And you may have noticed the amazing paintings by artist Steve Penley all around Frank's set. Now, throughout the hour, we're going to be showing you some incredible video of just how he creates these. That much more coming up straight ahead.